Welcome to Bunnyfish Crafts. I'm your host Heather, known as Bunnyfish on Ravelry, Instagram, and YouTube. Today is Tuesday, the 18th of October, 2016, and this is episode 198. Kid-free! Yay! Grab some sticks and string and come sit with me. How was your week? Mine was pretty good. Usually is though, right? I had lots of work going on. I picked up a partial shift from someone, so extra day, yay. Cecilia came home from school again on Wednesday, so that was less good. We think that she wasn't actually sick, she just wanted to avoid something, but she didn't want to talk about it. So instead of like a physical sick day, she took a mental health day, which I respect that. Yesterday, I didn't do anything. I didn't work. I had the day off, and I didn't do any laundry. I did like 2 sinkfuls of dishes, and that's it the entire day, even though yesterday morning I wrote out a huge list of all of the cleaning that I wanted to do, and then I didn't. My sister showed me a show she started watching Skin Wars, which is like a reality TV competition artsy thing on Netflix, and I spent my entire day binge watching and didn't even knit or anything because I just needed a mental health day, apparently. Anyway, do you guys do that? Do you have mental health days where you don't do anything? I don't have them very often, but every once in a while I just need to sit and not accomplish a single thing all day. Anyway, knit along is happening. Let's talk about some knitting. The Finisher Frog is going on, and you guys are kicking butt. Doing way better than me. Because, yeah, I'm working on a lot of things, but not finishing many things. There is a tag for that if you want, for Ravelry or Instagram. I'm not drawing prizes that way, but if you want to tag that way, it's BPHFOF16. Hashtag that. It'll be at the bottom. So, yeah, I do have a couple finished objects, though. The first one I don't have to show you. It is a pair of fingerless mitts that I knit for a girl at work because I knit on lunch, and sometimes, okay, so we have these dogs at work who are no group dogs, and that means that they just can't be around other dogs for whatever reason. Some of them are dog aggressive, some of them are old and don't like being around other dogs. Like they do fine around other dogs, but it's just better for them if we don't put them with other dogs because they could get hurt. Or if a dog had surgery for some reason, spade neutering or random surgery, then they're no group. And like if I'm in a no group with a dog who needs to play, then I play with the dog. But some of the dogs just want to do their thing and don't really want to interact with people very much. So I knit then too. Anyway, so girls at work know that I knit. And one of them asked me if I knit sweaters, and I was like, oh yeah, I knit sweaters. And she was like, can you bring them in? And I was like, I will bring them in, but I will not wear them in. She was like, yeah, of course not. That would be terrible for your sweaters. So I brought them in, and I also had fingerless mitts that day because it was kind of chilly. It is hot today for October. It's like 70 something degrees, which is ridiculous. I actually want to take off this jacket, but then I'll be wearing a tank top, and I think you'll be able to see my bra straps. And even though I just did that a couple weeks ago, today I'm feeling a little more classy, so I'm not going to do that. What am I saying? I don't even know. Oh, so I brought in my knitting, and I had my Rockstrata mitts, the ones that I made for myself. They're aqua and, no, not aqua, teal and forest green. And the girls were like, can you make these for us? And I was like, yes, for a fee, I will do commission work for you. So one of the girls on lunch break had to run out to Target anyway to get things for the dog daycare, so she also bought some yarn. She was like, "Can you make mitts out of this?" I said, "Yes, I can make mitts out of that." So the yarn is Lion Brand Hometown USA in Napa Valley. I don't know how to say this. I don't drink wine, so I don't know how to say wine things. Pinot, Pinot maybe? I just made that up, so I don't know if that's correct or not. And it is a super bulky, so it's a size, knit on a size 11 knitting needle, and it was super fast. I cast on one morning, and then I worked on it that morning, and I got through, I did it cuff down. Okay, so let's back up a second. It's a modified pattern. The pattern that I used was Side Cable Mitts by Mirkwood Elf, but I modified it. The cable in the pattern runs down here, which looks really cool. But the girl I worked with wanted the cable to be here instead, so that's an easy fix. Just move where you do the thumb gusset in the pattern. So that was really simple. And the pattern itself is worked from here to here. I worked it from here to here because I knew she wanted long wrist things, and I didn't know like her forearm length, things like that. My cat just sneezed for like 30 seconds straight. He's still going apparently. I had measured her hand against mine. I have a really big hand, like I have a man-sized hand. So I knew how long I needed to make this, like to make it long enough on her fingers before starting the thumb gusset. So I did that, and then I worked to a pattern repeat below the thumb gusset, and then I stopped because it was really, really fast. And then I wanted to measure like how many more repeats I would need for her forearm, and also I wanted to make sure it fit because I didn't want to make her mitts that were too tight or something like that, or you know, if she saw the pattern and then was like, oh, maybe I don't actually like that. So I took it to work the next morning. No, I took it to work later that day. I worked in the evening that day. So I started it in the morning, took it to work, and she tried it on. She loved them, figured out how much longer they needed to be, and I bound them off the next morning after I got to work a little bit early. So yeah, they were really, really fast, like less than 24 hours to make the mitts. Really great pattern. I used the numbers in the pattern, except I cast on 2 stitches less. So if you were working it from the bottom up, you would increase to 2 stitches less for the thumb gusset, just because that worked better for me. I didn't want the thumb to be super loose, and then I did not pick up stitches to knit out the thumb. Probably could have, but just didn't go back and do that. So overall, the pattern is really well written. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. And did I say I worked that on US size 11 8mm needles? Worked up super fast. The second project that I finished is a modified barley hat. This is modified because, again, I used the Hometown USA Lion Brand in something chocolate. I didn't write down the name, and I don't have the tag handy. Also worked on US size 11, and it is really cute when you can see it. So I'll take a picture with not backlighting. And that is written for a worsted, not a super bulky. But the like big grocery store around here, or one of them, Meijer, had a coupon for $2 off yarn, Lion Brand yarn. So I went in and I was like, well, I want to make a hat. And Lion Brand Hometown USA is 100% acrylic, and it was $2.99 a ball. So I was like, I could get a whole hat out of a ball, and I actually have a ball about this big left over. So I got it for 99 cents for this hat, which is kind of awesome. Totally coincidental that they're both the same yarns used in this finished object, the finished objects this week. I didn't plan that. That's just how it happened. So yeah, the hat is I cast on 40 stitches for the rib. This pattern is also free on Ravelry. It's by Tin Can Knits, and none of the sizes. It goes from size baby to size large human. None of those sizes are a 42 count stitch pattern, but the pattern is easy to modify. So I cast on 40 stitches. This hat was kind of a trial. I cast on 42 stitches and worked it, and then tried it on, and I was like, this is too big. So then I cast on 36 stitches and knit. I did 42 stitches to about here. So half of the hat, and I was like, that's too big. And then I did 36 stitches, got up to here, and I was like, nope, that's too small. So I cast on 40, did the ribbing in 40, and then when I got to the body, I increased to 42 so that the ribbing wouldn't be too loose, and it fits pretty well. It's a little slouchy, but not bad. Like if I had my hair up here today instead of down here, it would fit perfectly. It's a really easy pattern. I'm sure you've seen the barley. Everybody's made a barley by now, except for me. I hadn't. It is a pattern that has a garter stitch panel and then stockinette the rest. So just every other round you have a little something to do to make it not just a plain hat, and the texture just gives a little interest. So those are my two finished objects this week. If you want to make a super chunky knit and acrylic is like the medium you want to go with for whatever reason, the Hometown USA works up really, really nicely. It doesn't feel plasticky. It works super well. My hands did hurt after knitting on both of I knit the projects back to back. So this hat took a day, even with ripping out half of a hat twice. So I could have knit 2 hats in that time. What I've worked on this week, it hasn't been a ton of things. I think I've picked up everything, all of my works in progress once this week, and then worked on a couple a lot, but not enough to show you. So I'm only going to talk about the ones that have like actual visual progress, and I will start with the cusp socks. You guys, I finally made it through the heel. So here's where I was last week. I was so close to finished with the heel flap. So here's where I was, and this is how much more I worked down to finish the heel flap. Ridiculous. Turned the heel, and then started on the gusset. So this pattern, I'm in the middle of a needle because, of course, this pattern it has lace that starts in the back right here and splits and goes up either side, and then there's ribbing in between the lace, and then the lace comes together on the front and it creates a V on the front. So that's what I'm doing right here, which means that this gusset is pretty cool because the decreases are on the top of the foot instead of on the bottom. On my second needle, I'm not working any decreases. It's all on the top. Isn't that cool? Cookie is brilliant, is what it is. This yarn is gorgeous. It is Hedgehog Fibers in the Monsoon colorway. It's their sock base, so the 80-20, I don't remember what they call their base. I haven't remembered for a really long time. So this is what it looks like. I love the texture of the twisted ribbing, even though I don't super love knitting twisted ribbing. It's still beautiful. And that lace section is just so pretty, even in the variegated. I know it's not coming across really, really well on screen, but it looks really good in person. So I did a decent amount on that. Had I finished, I don't think, I'll just say really quick about the log cabin blanket. I don't think that I had finished the first color block last time I talked to you. No, definitely not, because I was talking about how as long as I had that first color block done by the 15th. So let me talk about the log cabin really quick, because it's right here. I did finish this brown color block. And I picked up the stitches for the next color block, which is going to be in pistachio. And I knit all of the brown while I was reading one day. I just got a book and did the entire color block. I'm saving the pistachio color block because, do you see that my daughter this week, right there, drew on the TV stand thing? Bad children. Anyway, I'm saving it because on Friday I am going to a Halloween party, kind of. I mean, it's not like a party, but it's kind of a party. I'm pretty excited. It's going to be a horror movie potluck thing. So I am making like a Dunkaroos dip sort of thing, which is super easy. I'm using vanilla Greek yogurt, some like Cool Whip, but not Cool Whip brand, and Funfetti cake mix. You mix that all together in certain amounts, and it tastes like Dunkaroos. And the grocery store had Goldfish, the snack, on sale for, if you bought 5 bags, they were $1 a piece. So I bought 5 bags in different flavors for dipping in the Dunkaroos thing, because did you have Dunkaroos? Oh my gosh, this is what it tastes like, and they're delicious. I'll try to remember to link it in the show notes. In fact, I'll write it on my show notes right here so that I can hopefully link it. It is delicious. Someone made it at one of our Kentucky cul-de-sac parties, and I just kept eating it, and I shouldn't have, but I kept eating it. It was delicious. So Dunkaroos dip. There we go. So I'm making that for Friday, and since we're watching movies, and I can't just sit, really, like I've had my just sit and watch things, I'm going to take that and work on it, because I'll be able to work on it in the dark. It won't be difficult. I'll put in a progress minder thing so that I can count the rows easily, and that's where I'm going to work on that next. So I am halfway done with that for the month, which is good. It means I'm on track. And then the other project that I have given a lot of time to is my quarter socks, my 4th quarter socks, because apparently I'm just going to make them this month. That's just how it's going to be, because nothing else is super easy carry around knitting. And this is where I was on this sock last week. And yesterday, my sister had an award ceremony, so I went to that, which was really exciting. And I knit on this there, because again, none of my other projects were something that I could take to sit and knit without looking at a pattern or something. So yeah, this is the sock. That's how much progress I made on that this week. And then the other sock made slightly less progress, but still a lot of progress. For something that I'm only supposed to be working 1 stripe on a day, I'm not meeting that goal, but that's okay. I will work on something else. I do have plans for another pair of scrappy Rose City rollers, which I will cast on, I guess, after I finish this. And then I want to get another pair of yoga socks on the needles, but I'm not 100% certain where I put my size 2 circulars. So I need to find those, and then I will be working on some more yoga socks. But yeah, these are the projects that I worked on. This yarn is Peyton's Croy Socks Rag Shades in the blue striped rag, and I love this colorway. Everybody who has seen me working on, what am I doing with my glasses? Everybody who has seen me working on these socks loves the colorway so much. They're like, those look really, really good. And the girls at work are so cute because they're like, wow, those look like real socks. Those look so nice. It looks like you could buy those in a store. They're super cute. I really like the girls that I work with. And they're getting decently long. I don't know how long I'm going to go. I think that I might work until I work the last red stripe that's in the ball of yarn. So it looks like I have 2 more red stripes in here. I think I'm going to work to the final red stripe and then do my bind off in gray after that, which means for this sock I only have 1 more color repeat because I'll do the red and then color repeat and then the final red and gray, and I have slightly more for this one, 2 color repeats I guess. And then I will have the leftover yarn for my sock yarn blankets because I do want some of this color in the sock yarn blankets, and I'm okay if there's no red in it, in those blankets. That's my thought for these. So yeah, getting super close to finished. If I do, let's see, I said I had 1 pattern repeat left on this sock and 2 pattern repeats left on that sock. That means that I could, if I work on these as much as I have this week, I could be done with them next week. These are going to be my backup project for after I finish this at the horror movie thing, because 18 rows of garter stitch is not going to take me that long. Maybe I think I'm going to take that. Let's plan this out. Why not? I think I'm going to take this project, and then I'm going to take this project as a backup. I'll probably take another color of yarn for my log cabin blanket and maybe start the next outer round, even though I'll be further than that. And I would like to have these socks to a point where I can work on them in the dark. Because, I mean, they're pretty close. Like, if I don't finish them by Friday, I would like them to be to a point where I can just work the sock in the dark and finish it off there. I don't know how many movies we're planning on watching, but I do know that the party starts at 7. I get off work at 7, so I'll be there a little bit late, but whatever. So another girl who's going, Mary Lee, my best friend, she works until 7 that day too, I'm pretty sure. So she's going to be late anyway. And I know someone else, because of Facebook events, gets off work at 10:30 and won't be there until then. So the party's going to go on for a while. It's probably going to be one of those things where you stay until you're tired. So that's a lot of hours of knitting, of potential knitting. So of course I have to bring way too much knitting. Otherwise I might run out. Anyway, let's talk about other actual projects, shall we? I did some modular knitting this week. I did 1 barn raising square, number 91. This is yarn from Christina. And I also did a mitered square in the same yarn. And this is number 59, I believe, mitered square. I did start on hexapuffs. I started them that day. We watched Footloose, and I cast them on and worked on them a little bit, but I'm still increasing. I haven't gotten to the halfway point. And then I don't know, I didn't get to them because there was a lot of running around because I had to pick up Cecilia from school, and then we had some things to do, and then we came here, and I don't know. I'm making excuses now. I just didn't finish them. Hopefully there will be 5 hexapuffs next week. I don't want to take that to the movie night because there is a little bit of yarn management when you have 5 hexapuffs on a needle, and I don't want to mess with it. That's not going to be a thing. Anyway, reading list. You guys, I was a grown-up today, and I did grown-up type things. My social security card came finally, and I couldn't go yesterday because just couldn't. I had this ceremony with Amanda, and then I took a nap, and then children came home, and I didn't go get my new license. It just didn't happen. But today I went, and how does this work in your state? I don't know how it works in every state, but in Kentucky, licenses are distributed through the DMV, and you do your thing for your license, whatever paperwork, whatever you have to do. They take your picture and they print out your license right there, so you have it right there. In Michigan, that's not how it works. You do all your paperwork and they take your picture, and then they take your old license and I'm actually going to show you, kind of. I'm not going to show you all of my information, but okay, so here is my old license, and they take a hole punch and it says void. So they hole punch your license with something that says void, and then they staple a temporary license on the back. And then your new license comes like 3 weeks later in the mail. It's so weird. But anyway, so I have this fancy dancy new license, which means that I also have a fancy dancy library card. Yay! Okay, so this library card is kind of awesome, but it's not as awesome as it could be. The local library is kind of small. I don't think they have a science fiction section. Or if they do, I couldn't find it. I did a really quick walkthrough today. It's been a really long time since I've been to that library, like since high school. But I went and I got a library card and I checked out some books. The top one I did not check out. This is not a library book. That's the book that I'm currently reading. But I checked out some books. So those will be coming up in my list shortly. And they're all young adult because that's the section that I found right away. And I wanted to get home and record this. I couldn't record it this morning before I did things because my mouse right here, it requires a battery. And the battery died last week, and I didn't have any spare batteries. So I had to run errands. I did other errands today, other than these two things that I'm talking about. But I went to the library. I got a library card. I have books to read. How exciting. And now I can take this library card to the bigger library that has more books on hand. And I can get a library card there. So I'm thinking I might do that with the children after I pick them up from school. Probably. Otherwise, I'll have to wait until... I mean, I guess I could try doing it after work tomorrow. I don't know. Nah, I'll just take them to the library today after school, as long as everybody had a good day and nobody's having a bad attitude, because that will be awesome. I love the library. And then I will let each child check out a book or whatever. One thing per child, because there's 5 of them, and that's a lot to keep track of. And we will have rules for library books. My kids had rules for library books, so I'll just extend them to all the kids. Anyway, let's talk about what I'm reading. This is Daughter of the Forest. I finished... Oh, stop. I finished Twilight's Dawn, and all the feels. So many feels. So this is not really a spoiler alert, but kind of a spoiler alert. The 4th story makes you feel every single feel. Every single feel. I cried. I was super pissed off. I laughed. Like, everything in this short story. So good. The entire series is really, really good if you like fantasy. It's not epic fantasy. It's not like an urban fantasy or anything. It's just, you know, kind of a magic-y alternate universe sort of deal. Not even alternate universe, different universe. It's really, really good. There's magic that is, it's expected, not expected. It's, the magic is the norm. There are people who don't use magic, but the stories, like, I don't know, it's really good. Just go read it. The Black Jewels series by Anne Bishop is so good. And the final story of the series, like, broke my heart. And then built it again, and then broke it again, and built it again. It was very, all the feels, emotional roller coaster in that book. Okay, so finished that. And I started Daughter of the Forest by Juliette Marillier, or Marillier, I don't know. I don't know how you would pronounce that, so I just make it up. I love this book. So she is an author from New Zealand, maybe? Why is there not an author page in here? I wonder if this is missing pages or something. Could be. But she's either from Australia or New Zealand. And I started these books when it was just a trilogy. I don't remember if the last book was out or if I had to wait for that. I can't remember. It was in high school. I loved these books so much. Not everybody, this was copyright 2000, so I probably started it before it was an entire trilogy. There was a group of us who were like the core reading group. And then the rest of us in my group of friends who we would be like, hey, this is a really good book if it was a shorter book. This is not a short book. So the readers in that group, we all read this and we all loved it. It is based in, it takes place in Seven Waters, and there's magic. The fair folk exist, but they don't play a huge part in the story. Lies. They do play a huge part in the story. They are not themselves very visible in the story. Does that make sense? Like, the main characters are human. But it's such a good story. The trilogy is so good. But there are now like 7 books in this series. So I am rereading this slowly. This is one of those books it's a little more meaty. It's not a super quick read. The language is, it's not archaic. It's not like a super conversational read. Does that make sense? Like, this is what the paragraphs look like. They're big. There's not a lot of dialogue. There is some, but not a ton. I only read like 10 pages before bed. So I'm just at the beginning. I'm sure once I get more toward the end, I will just devour huge chunks of it. I always have a hard time getting into books. Not a hard time. I always have a long time getting into books. But I know that I really, really like the story, and I highly recommend this to anybody who likes that sort of fantasy where fairies are involved, that sort of thing. I'm actually going to go today when we go to the library. Once a time, when I lived here forever ago and used to go to that library in college, they had this book, but in hardcover. So I think I'm going to see if they have it in hardcover, because that will actually be easier for me to read, because then I can open the book and read it while I'm knitting. That's what this type of book is. This, for me, is a reading and knitting at the same time sort of book. Whereas, like, some of these young adult novels are just going to be like read chunks at a time. So I'm going to see if they have this so that I can read it and knit at the same time. But it's a really good book. It's a really good story. I really like Juliette Marillier as an author. She's one of my favorites. Like, it's like Jacqueline Carey, who I've gone on a rant about before. Not a rant, a rave. Who I've gone on a rave about before. So Jacqueline Carey and then Juliette Marillier. It's right there. So I've read, I think, all of her young adult books, or all of her young adult books current to before having my children, because they just, I don't know, they threw off all my reading time. Highly recommend. I have to wrap this up because I have to go pick up kids from school right now. So I hope you made something fantastic with your sticks and string. I will see you next week, and you guys are awesome. Just know that I think you guys are super awesome. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next week. Bye.